So I'm so excited to introduce you all to AnnaLynne McCord. She's an abolitionist, an actress. She's the president of Together One Heart, and she's gorgeous. What's up?
Hi, love. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I feel like this is the only way I see you anymore.
I think that's true for a lot of people. They only see each other through
Insta
video.
Live or Zoom or something.
Totally. Well, I'm so happy to do this because we've done this once before and it was a life-changing experience. And I didn't know how to save it, but I know how to save it now. And so it's going to be memorialized.
That's okay, Ben. You're really pretty. So, and I just put a filter on, so I look pretty too.
I know. I'm going to put a filter on too. Which filter did you use?
I didn't know you could put filters on. I'm so happy about this. Way to go, Instagram. Audrey, hi.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Jesse. Hey, Ren. Well, AnnaLynne, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're doing this mental health awareness series because I think it's always important, but it feels like especially important right now with everything that's going on.
Yeah, it is. I'm so glad you're doing it, and I think it's really important. It's funny, you know, I know you're going to dive in, but I want to just share something I literally just read. And it was on Instagram. It's a doctor in Alberta, Canada, Dr. Rochelle. I'm going to brutalize her last name, so I'm not going to say it, which is probably why her handle is just Dr. Rochelle. Okay. But she hashtagged Dr. Dan Siegel, who's a neuroscientist whose books I've basically read everything he's ever written and like totally fangirled when I finally met him. And he was like, I was like, I'm sorry, I was trying to play it cool. He was like, you quoted every one of my books. I don't think you were playing it that cool. I was totally not playing it cool at all. But she hashtagged that, and I follow anything that was hashtag Dr. Dan Siegel. And she wrote toxic positivity. Like they were using the like toxic masculinity was a thing, and it got overwhelmingly crazy, I think, in one direction. But I saw this and I was like, whoa, stop. And it says toxic positivity. Don't worry, be happy, quote unquote. Stay positive, keep calm and carry on. Look for the silver lining. Why positivity isn't always enough. And she writes in there, and we can obviously talk about it, but she talks about, especially with what's going on right now, how what we resist persists, right? And the difficult emotions, sadness, anger, fear, grief, shame, everything is really frightening right now, is what she says on here. We have to feel these emotions though, because if we're just stay positive, keep calm, it doesn't work. There's an amazing book called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die by a PhD named Carol Truman. And I love that because if you really think about it, if you don't feel that feeling, you have just dug a grave, a shallow grave for a living emotion, and it's just underneath the ground, just kicking to get out. Like that's a little scary. So anyway, so I'm so glad you're doing this because there are so many things going on in the world, but toxic positivity is definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's so true. You know, I feel like I'm seeing like this polarization where some people are on that toxic positivity train, and then some other people are almost like on the conspiracy theory, insanely negative train. You know,
fear mongering. Yeah, it's like these spectrums, right? And I don't want to give positivity a bad name. It's positive after all. But I think the difference is everything, as you know, comes down to intention, right? Is your intent to distract yourself with positive affirmations because you can't handle what you're feeling? Then you're just putting a rug over the issue, right? You're sweeping it under. And if you're fear mongering because you can't cope with your toxic emotions of fear, and so you're spewing it out onto everybody else, it's intention. Both are kind of the same thing in two different ways of projecting it out into the world. I had something sent to me today, the plandemic. I saw that the entire thing. So I'm like, so wait, did the aliens plan it? Because we're all screwed.
Totally. Well, some of us are aliens, so.
Oh, okay. You did it, Ben. It was you in the library with the chemistry.
It was a benevolent plan, and there's no. I don't want to like totally make light. A lot of people are really distressed. People are in genuine distress because they've lost work more than anything. But
they've
they're
lost lives, lost people they love, lost
yeah,
work, and there's no certainty because there's no end in sight. And it is when we so desperately want certainty. I mean, that's the thing that we never get really, but we
right.
so badly want it. And in a time like this, when everyone is feeling it and there doesn't seem to be an escapism strong enough to distract us, it's very confronting. And it's why what you're doing is so important, bringing awareness to this and the how-tos and the myths busting and all the things that, you know, you can discuss on a platform like this,
Right. Well, you
to
said something so
give
important, like
that space.
those challenging emotions that we have. You know, as in the meditation space, we talk about them. Everyone talks about them in a little bit of a different way. My approach to them is really that they're raw power, and you can try to like hold it back. You can resist it, or you can integrate it. And receiving and integrating, going through something is how we mature. It's how we learn. It's how we adapt. It's how we refine. Wine is better if it's had a chance to age properly, you know? And so
Do you have any extra that you could share with me?
I'm sober.
No, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And there's ways to do it right and wrong, right? There's ways that it can go awry. The same process can go, you know, different direction.
Well,
but yeah,
I think more than anything, it comes down to feeling it, allowing yourself to experience it.
Yeah.
And just as your body has an immune system and a healing process, like if you have a wound on your arm, you clean it, you cover it up, you give it a break, you know, you address it, you deal with it, and then you let it rest, you know, and then the body heals itself. The psyche has a similar kind of, the mind, the emotional body, you address it though. You have to like let it happen and let it move through you and breathe. In my first book, there's a meditation on sitting with difficult emotions, and it sounds simple, and it's simple, but it's not in knowing how to do it. It's in actually doing it that the healing happens.
Yeah, you can't learn to swim reading a book, right? You have to actually get in the water.
You can get a lot of great info and you can be really ready and you can know what to do, but if you don't do it when you hit the water, like, you know,
you got to actually dive in.
Yeah, you got to really dive in. You got to clock some hours, you know. Okay, so I want to talk about that, like in the context of triggering, because what's happening is triggering. So all of our wounds, all of our traumas, all of the things that are already beneath the surface. Because look, check it out. We're already resisting. We're already holding back. We're already resisting uncomfortable emotions, you know? And so this is just triggering. And it's making it that much harder for us to cope in all of the normal ways for those traumatic experiences. And so just like you said, with those negative emotions like grief and heartbreak and depression, you kind of have to experience them and feel them before the positivity really like plays its role. And the same is true about trauma. Trauma has to be witnessed and recognized and dealt with in different ways. So you are the president of Together One Heart, anti-human trafficking organization. And I want to just tell everybody, she's not just a beautiful celebrity that goes to red carpet events for this charity. She is that too, but also you're genuinely like involved, and not just you go there and you know the girls and the girls know you and you have relationships with them, which I think is huge. You definitely have that, but also you are administratively very involved. Like you run that company, and you run it like a business, you know, and you have creative direction, you have vision, and you have plans and strategies. And so I want to hear a little bit about your experience with that, but then also how you got into that work.
Absolutely. Well, one of my strategies, by the way, everyone is invited to get a gown. Mine's a big bright red gown for next Thursday's virtual gala. If you are tired of wearing sweatpants and you want to put a tuxedo or a gown on, join. The tickets are on a link on my handle. But yeah, so I've been involved working with them for 12 years, as you know, Ben, and I took over as president And I do wear a lot of hats. Back in 2016, I started, took over as president and chair of the board. And there was a lot going on, and I'm thankful for the position. It was born out of the fact that our board members know that the way I just use money is I spend the money of the organization like it's my own, and I do it as if I'm spending my own money for my own children. And so nobody gets any money but my kids, basically. Like, essentially, like, I'm like, why do you need to buy stamps? And they're like, because I can't steal them. I need to purchase them to mail things. I'm like, this is for my children. So I do take on a lot of that, because they saved my life, right? So you know my story. The sexual assault that you and I, you had been a confidant, and you knew about that very early on in my life and what happened to me well before I ever talked about it openly. And then a year and a half ago, I had the memories come back during PTSD, being severely triggered and then having PTSD and going into treatment for that. And then having all those memories come back of childhood sexual abuse. So this is a very personal work that I do. Like these girls, every single day of my life, getting up out of bed for them has healed me in so many ways. And it makes me as happy to do this as it does to be here with you and to be with my friends. Like it's just love coming out of me. Don Miguel Ruiz says, happiness is love coming out of me, right? Out of us, right? Love that. And it's true. You think about how you love your pets, or your, and how happy, that's true positivity right there. That's happiness, is when you're loving something. But this trauma obviously was extremely severe, and before it got me to the little bubbly AnnaLynne that I am today, I was a very, very dark, damaged person in my narrative. That's what I would tell you about me. Like, stay away from me. My favorite song was Imagine Dragons Demons. Like, don't look in my eyes, or you'll see the demons there, right? So I kind of owned this chip on the shoulder, dark side of myself, middle fingers to the sky kind of thing. And it's so not who I am, but I was so hell-bent on promoting this, because I was tired of being hurt. And this is what we do, right? We isolate. We go to the island. It's a defense mechanism. It's don't let anyone in because you don't trust them, and the world's out to get you. And right now it feels like the world is out to get us, right? We all feel the weight of this in different ways. And I think that what's interesting to think about are a couple things in regards to this, right? So pain is experienced in the exact same place. So if you're not dealing with a pandemic and money issues, you might be dealing with, friend and or family drama, or boyfriend or girlfriend and relationship issues. And pain is relative, right? It's being compounded right now by the fear mongering that you mentioned. The sensationalism is certainly not helping. And the fact that money is scarce, jobs are going away. What does this look like for tomorrow, for tomorrow, for tomorrow? I'm scared about today because what's going to come tomorrow, right? And so it's kind of like the whole, just stay positive. You really want to just come on, because that's like me on top of the world during my depression periods. I would be like, I wake up in the morning, I feel like I can handle this, I can do this. By the end of the night in my bathtub, I want to slit my wrists. I don't want to live anymore. This life is pointless. This world is pointless. I don't get it. Like, no one would even miss me. I wondered if anyone would even show up at my funeral if I died anyway. I mean, like the spectrum of what I went through for years and years and years, because of this deep internal thing going on, right? So, and how in a moment that's triggered and activated. This is the part that is a nice thing to be aware of, right? So we will always have problems. That's actually, when we get past this pandemic, we're just going to move on to another level of problems, and we'll be dealing with those problems, right? So we're problem solvers, and it's like I say it, like, if you watched a TV show where everyone was like, I love you too, I love this meal, I love this wall, I love this sky, like, it's so lovely that everybody loves everything.
Yeah.
But it would be the most boring television show on planet Earth, and it would never be greenlit, because we need that conflict. We need the, like, contrast. Oh my God, she's wearing my dress. You know, like, there needs to be a little friction, a little something, right?
Well, and from like oh yeah, keep going. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so very quickly, just to circle back. So this whole dynamic is the problems are always going to be there, right? Mm-hmm. The need to solve them will come and will be discovered, but you just have to be creative. What you can do without, if you feel so inclined, is the worry part, right? And so I am very cautious and I'm mindful. So I wash my hands, I wear my masks, I do the whole thing. And when I'm walking and I don't feel the need to have my mask on, I take it off. If I see someone coming, I don't know if they're scared. I don't know what their story is. I don't know if they have a family member who's compromised. I don't know what their narrative is. I immediately put my mask on, do the thing, walk down the right ways in the aisles at the grocery store, respecting what this is. But at no point has the caution led to internal fear. And that is because I regulate my body and my nervous system all day, every day. I'm checking in with body. So that's what I didn't know when I was in my depression and anxiety. And I'm so for people to be able to learn meditation and things like that to regulate their nervous system, so that they don't have to go to the extent of anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation that I suffered. Or if they're there, they can find their way home to homeostasis.
Right. Well, you said a couple really, really good things. Thank you for sharing all that. There's the conflict is, I like the example, the TV show example that you gave, because we have an innate attraction to the conflict. And I believe that from like a spiritual evolutionary perspective, we need conflict in order to overcome and adapt. Kind of like what we started with the conversation about, where we have to integrate the heartbreak. We have to experience the heartbreak. We have to experience the grief and the challenges, because it refines us and it gives us more power. And it's when you go through something, you develop authority in that area. Yeah. And then you're on the other side of it, you know? So I think that we have like a natural attraction to conflict for that reason, because we know it's interesting in a movie or a TV show, because there's that innate desire to be on the other side of it, to get through it, you know, to see it through.
And when you do, and you will, we always figure it out, right? 2 years ago, we were really upset about something, and that's not what we're thinking about right now, right?
Right.
When you do get through it, you start to build the scaffolding inside your mind of safety, that conflict can be resolved. The more conflict is resolved, the more strenuous or scary or terrifying that it is, and you overcome it, the more resilient you become. And I mean, that's why I'm not scared of anything. My perpetrator, I almost died when I was 6 years old due to asphyxiation because of what happened to me, right? You can't scare me with anything. You certainly can't scare me with a virus. I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect myself. But I know that I've been faced with death. So I have this incredible buffer to trauma, to like really severe, you know, things where I can hold my own. But that's because I've been through it. These things refine us if we allow them to. And it's validating that it's scary and saying it is okay to be afraid. Right. But as we step out of that, we use it as a refining process.
Definitely. And you said something so important, respecting the process, like putting your mask on, even though you're not afraid, putting the mask on. If you have it off and you're going for a walk and you see someone walk up, putting it back on, there's a reality that we have to recognize that our impact, the way we impact the lives of other people, you know, even just us being there. I was talking
if you want to be considered a nice person.
Well, yeah. And so from like a, you know, maybe this isn't mental health related, but from like a metaphysical perspective, there's only one of us here. We're all one, you know? And so the spiritual maturity starts to introduce the mirroring process, where like when I look at you, I see a new expression of me, you know, and I recognize like if I'm seeing fear or anxiety, I am connected to it, and I can do something,
and you can do something about it. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I think that it's not just metaphysical. I think it is mental health related, in the sense that when you walk into a room and two people have been fighting or crying or something, and you walk in and everyone's like,
oh yeah, you can feel it.
You can cut that tension with a knife. Like, that's literally, like, that's what we say in the South. You could cut the tension with a knife. Like, I mean, you can feel it, right? So I don't want someone to feel in so much fear that for me personally, that I walk into an energy that's that intense, because it's not fun for them, and I don't like it either. And like, so it helps me as much as it helps the other person to just simply do something simple and put the mask on. Big deal. Like, what is it? Someone was arguing about, like, I think it's ridiculous that they have arrows down the grocery store line. I'm like, so what? Like, you're gonna, like, come on, like, you can circle the aisle. You know what? Get your steps in and check it later on your health app on the iPhone. Like, calm down. It takes so little to do something that could really settle someone else. Maybe there's an elderly person who, you know, feels scared because the rules aren't being abided by, and, you know, it's just I think it's being compassionate.
What is being triggered for other people. It's being compassionate. We don't know what else is being triggered, because a traumatizing experience like this is traumatizing. It's a collective experience of uncertainty, and uncertainty is traumatizing to varying extents, and so we put these different measures in place to give us that sense of control. Like you said, like, we want certainty. That's what we want. And so we introduce these things culturally, in the county, in each different states and regions have different things that they've introduced, and it helps contribute to that feeling that things are being handled. There's some sense of control, you know.
The mandates help to give a sense of relief that I don't have to enforce it. It's being asked in protection of me and those I love, and by abiding by it, I'm not only, whether I think it can affect me or not, or I'm invincible or not, I am saying, this is what I'm willing to do for a stranger I've never met. This is an invitation to do little acts of kindness until this is all over, and maybe in the process form a habit that's not terrible, and doing little acts of kindness for a complete stranger, and seeing how you can impact another person just by walking down the right way with the grocery aisle and pulling up the mask at the right, you know.
That's one little way. That's a little thing. But then also there are big things that some people do, and you do big things. So you've essentially, through the anti-human trafficking work that you do, I want to share a little bit. I want to invite you to talk a little bit about what work Together in One Heart actually does. Because I don't think people realize how boots on the ground this operation really is. So can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. And I know you were short with time, but I will keep it short and sweet. So basically, Together One Heart is an anti-human trafficking organization. We raise global awareness, and we fight the actual issue on the ground in Cambodia. The founder started this work back in the mid-90s. She's rescued over 7,000 girls. But what I think is really beautiful and unique about this organization, and I've worked with charities in Africa and Haiti and all around the world, and I've never seen an organization that is better focused on the sustainability, the long-term effects. Somali always asks, the founder always asks, it takes 5 minutes to rescue a girl, then what, right? It's the rest of her life. You know, it's my whole life. I will always do the things I need to do to counteract any triggers that come up, because of severe trauma just is a lifetime. It's a thing you carry, right? So we have a 3 R's, we call it. the rescue, rehabilitation, reintegration into society. We offer complete, obviously, education, psychology, psychiatry, art therapy. Two of the girls that I put through psychology are actually like now college for psychology are on staff treating our girls, right? So they were rescued into the center. They went through full education and treatment. Now they're good. They have their college degree and they're helping the new girls coming in, you know, deal with their traumas. So this peer-to-peer element is massive. It's hugely important. When all my trauma memories came back, my two little psychologists were my 24/7 care. So through around the clock at night, when I flew there after my everything, my whole world shattered, they were there with me through the night. They did the whole thing, and I actually got to see hands-on what we do to help with severe trauma with our girls. And so we include art therapy, which has been profound for me. Our acting got me out of the situation as a kid, and then it would go on to be an outlet to get rid of those big, heavy, negative emotions by feeling them as a character, but nonetheless, they were, you know, expelled from me. And we do that with our girls. We teach them singing and dancing and acting and weaving and all kinds of different forms of art and expression. Orphan Starfish is an amazing organization that donated computers and pays for English teachers and computer teachers to educate our girls so that they can have the opportunity to have like jobs in hospitality and all of these opportunities. We provide higher level learning opportunities so they can go to college, they can do apprenticeships, we can do vocational skill training. We have an open door policy for all of their life. They are our kids. You can come back at any time to mama and all the mamas and daddies of, you know, the staff, because they're our babies. We love them no matter how big they are, who they get married to, how many babies they have of their own. They're always our babies. And so we have an open door policy for psychology, psychiatry. We have a survivor network that's really incredible. It trickles down from the top. So survivors helping survivors all the way from top to bottom and bottom to top. And I think I did that backwards, but whatever. So it's a really well-rounded organization in the sense of the actual work that we do. And I couldn't be more proud of our staff. They have taken pay cuts. We've had to slash the budgets, everything, you know, because everything that's going on right now. And they show up every single day for these girls and they do this work. And it is hard to see this stuff that comes through those doors sometimes, and the stories and the actual physical, like they're seeing firsthand, and it causes secondary trauma sometimes. And they show up, and our staff most of them have been there almost the whole time with Somali for 20 something years, dedicating their lives to this. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this organization. I'm so grateful that it was an outlet to help heal me and has continued to heal me in this process. And I love seeing the girls tell us their dreams. Like that's the first thing that every time I see them, I want to ask. Like I was there for Mother's Day, actually tomorrow's Mother's Day. I was there for Mother's Day a couple years ago. And I just want to hear all of their dreams. And we were going around and they're like, you know, they want to be doctors. They want to save people. They want to own their, you know, own shops and stuff. And then one of our girls said, she said something in Khmer, in Cambodian. And all the girls and everybody starts laughing. And I'm like, stop, no dreams are silly. Like, don't laugh. Like, I'm like all like mama bear, like, don't bully my child. And I'm like, but like, what did she say? And the staff are still laughing. I'm like, stop laughing at her. She's like 5. Like, why are you laughing? And they were like, she wants to be a garbage truck driver. So now I'm laughing because I'm like, wait, she used to live near a slum, and they would go to the garbage like area to get things that they needed. And then the garbage men would come and take all the jewels away. She called them her little jewels. So she thought they were the jewel collectors. The garbage men collected all of the, and it was so precious. And it's like, to this day, she's older. She understands a little more. She still wants to be a garbage truck driver. I love it. I support it. I will definitely be there to get her whatever training she needs to drive a commercial garbage truck. But that's the work that we do. So it's pretty special to me.
Yeah, that's just incredible. And you've been going and spending time with them, and they know you by name. You don't just spend time with them a little bit every year, which you do, but you also stay in touch with them. What I love to see is how close of a relationship you genuinely maintain with them. ongoing, in an ongoing way, you know, like yesterday and on Monday and tomorrow, and it's, you know,
yeah, we're on a group WhatsApp with all the like alumni girls, so I see all of their like food that they make. It all like it saves to my phone, so I'm like, what is all these pictures of food? They love to take pictures of food. I'm like, oh my god, there's a tarantula or something, and like it'll throw my phone. Like, how did this picture get in here? Yeah, no, it's there. It's yeah. I'm thankful for more video calls actually because of all this, because they've been in quarantine just to, you know, lockdown. But being there, there's nothing like being there. So
well,
I can't wait
to go with you. I'm super
Yes.
excited to join in that trip. And so for anyone who's watching, make sure to pop over to her page, the link in her bio. Let's get tickets to that gala.
Yes.
Dress up. I'll
Get
be
your
wearing
gowns.
my tuxedo. Yeah, I'll put something on.
Oh, you don't have to wear a gown, Ben.
I'll wear a tuxedo. I'll be all dressed up. I can't wait. I think it's really, really great, the work that you're doing. You're so cool. You're like the coolest person I've ever met. And and I think that what I think is really, really cool is that you really take your personal healing so seriously, and you're not a compartmentalizer. You can recognize. I remember one of our more recent conversations in the last 8 months or so. You said, or maybe even less than that, like 5 months. You said you were referring to a time when you were dissociating. And to be able to be integrated enough to remember that and know that you did it, and then be so vulnerable and open to acknowledging it, that is real healing. That's really, really cool. And I also know that that's an ongoing thing, and that this is something that you're still with, and you're so loved, and there's never going to be a moment when you're not loved. You're just so cherished and loved and appreciated, very, very sincerely. And I hope that you live a very, very long life, and stay very, very healthy and happy. And I'm here to help in any way to do that. And I'm definitely going to be supporting Together One Heart. So if there's one thing from your practice, because you've really done the gambit. Like, we've been meditating together for, I don't know, several years. Yeah. But you've also done a number of other things. If there was one or two or three tips for cultivating mental wellness that we could send everyone off with, what might that be?
I have the shortcut that I wish I knew years and years ago. And it's funny because the girls actually tried to teach me. It's this lovely little thing called compassion. And I was like, no, I'm from Georgia, and I go hunt down these guys that hurt my kids, and I go after them. And they're like, no, sister, we love and forgive them. And I'm like, no, we kill them. We kill them because I can't handle what they did to my kids. I'm going to kill them. And it wasn't until I was in their boat, right? It wasn't until I remembered and could see in those disassociative moments splitting off and see little AnnaLynne being sexually abused. And I saw it outside of my own body because I had disassociated so much. Like my first memory that took me in was in fact like 17 feet away from my body. So my consciousness had, and then, you know, it's very common, and the doctors tell you that because you feel crazy when you're going through this. But when I could see this little girl and my body was doing the body flashbacks that you know about, this basically for people who don't, like a war veteran would, you know, have a trigger and then think he's on the battlefield and grab a gun that's not there. My body relived what happened to me, like movement, feeling inside my body, like all of it. Very, very, very scary stuff, right? And as I was going through it, there was this split inside of me of who I am as the adult woman who's done all this work to try and heal, and this little child's expulsion of terror. And I had this sense of, this is not my pain. And yet I know that little girl is me, and I'm looking at her in my own mind, and it's so, you know, confusing, and integration is the word, and that is what had to happen. But in the process of being so disassociative and so split from it, I could see this little girl with the compassion that I have for my girls. And sometimes we don't know how to have compassion for ourselves. So it was a gift that I was so split, because maybe I wouldn't have been so kind to that little AnnaLynne in those moments, and the healing wouldn't have come in the way that it did. So if you want the shortcut, it takes time because you have to implement. It's the diving into swimming, like we were talking about earlier. You actually have to dive in and swim to be a good swimmer, but you can learn a lot of things, and here's a shortcut that will help. The thing that has been the most profound was when I was in that energy, and you can kind of imagine, right, how intense the feelings are. It's everything. It's anger, it's rage, it's sadness, it's heartbreak, it's disgust, it's gross, it's icky, it's ooey. It just, the whole spectrum is covered of what it feels like to remember these memories, to not really fully integrate them and feel like, are they mine? Are they not? This is this little girl that looks like me, but it doesn't feel like me right now. I'm so all over the place in the early days. And to have all of that, and I call it a storm because it was my storm that was brewing, and that's what the campaign for the organization became, the love storm, because it was all these icky, yucky, gross feelings. And I was like, no, 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 you don't get to hurt me anymore. I'm done with this, right? And in that moment of this kind of this just taking this storm and transmuting it into love, I went from just like the most intense energy of like dark energy of just, this is not fair, to I can love this intensely. Like, I can love me this intensely. I can forgive this intense. I can use this energy to kind of like a rocket ship to like send me to space and out of this darkness and into my healing. And the gasoline that fueled the rocket ship, or the jet fuel that fueled the rocket ship, was the metta meditation, compassion. So it was not just the meditation itself, because I'd done it a lot and it was nice and helpful and lovely, but it was momentary, right? When I was in the worst of it, that's when you do it. When you feel the shittiest, I don't know if I can curse on here, but when you feel the absolute worst possible, that was when I felt so violated and like this was so unfair. I just started looking at my perpetrator in my mind saying, may you be happy, may you be at peace, may you be free from suffering. I'm suffering. But it was that meta thing that you were saying. What was the word you used? I always forget.
Metaphysical, just the
metaphysical, that we're one, right?
Yeah.
I didn't care if it sounded gross and weird and bad. I made me one with my perpetrator. I made me one with the traffickers. I made me one with everybody. I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to be okay. And with that intensity and the compassion meditation words and the intent to heal myself and heal others and heal myself all at one time, something just shot through and clicked. And then everything changed when I would be in my memories and I would see the where I would normally get angry. I noticed that I would just get this sense of me shaking my head, the way you would if a child came and told you there was a monster under the bed, right? And you know there's no monster. I finally knew there was no more monster. I was going to really be okay, because I was always okay, because you cannot diminish a soul, right? The body can be scared, the situations around in the world can be terrifying, but what you are made of can never be diminished. It is impossible. You cannot you can eclipse the sun, but you can never stop its heat and its rays and its power and the source energy that it exudes, right? We are that light. We are that light, and you can only just rotate the earth around it, because the sun is right there ready to burn up your day, unless you're in New York right now and it's snowing. But anyway, I've got long-winded with that, but that full spectrum is what I do every day. If I get mad that the jar won't open, I'm trying to open the pickles jar and it won't open. I'm like, may you be happy, may you be at peace, may you be free from suffering. I'm crazy with it now. I do compassion meditation all day long. But
Well, thank you so much for all of your insight and just your time and how generous you are with everything, with all of your experiences and your honesty and everything. So, so thank you for
Absolutely.
being here. Happy Mother's Day and happy Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank
And so
you.
I'll definitely be coming to your gala, and I'll definitely be pushing it and promoting it and sending it to my email list and all of that. And I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much. You're the best. I love you.
Thank you. I love you. Namaste.
And I have to say one more thing. Um, you are an amazing meditation leader. You guide great meditations. And I see that being something you do more of. I already see that you're doing more of it. And I don't know what your future holds because you're creating it, but I do see that as something that you're very gifted at.
Did you hear
And I
that?
think
Did you hear Ben?
no, he's the one that told me. God's the one that told
Oh,
me.
okay, good.
Yeah, yeah. God's like, she can't hear it. You need to tell her. So yeah, you're really gifted in that way, and I know it's like time to wrap up, but I definitely want to encourage that. I want to encourage everyone to like keep an eye on AnnaLynne. I know that so many people who are watching and listening right now are fans of your work as an actress, which we barely even said a single word about. We may not have even said anything about, but I do want to continue to advocate for you as a metaphysician, as a meditation teacher,
Thank you.
as an advocate for mental health and for mental wellness. And I would love to see, I don't know what it looks like, but I would love to see some meditation content come out of you. I'd love to
All
see you
right.
produce
Challenge
it.
officially accepted.